This is Cult Film Face Off.
Hello and welcome to episode 66 of Cult Film Face Off. My name is Trek Roberts. With me as usual is Nick Leonard.
This shit is so bad it'll put a hump on a camel's back.
This episode we're going to be looking at two films released just 8 months apart that are both loosely based on the 1932 cinematic adaptation of the Richard Connell novel The Most Dangerous Game. We're talking about John Woo's American debut Hard Target and Ernest Dickerson's follow-up to Jews, which was his own directorial debut. Thank you incidentally to Philip Gawthorne for suggesting this episode's pairing.
Bring up your chest!
We will start off with the first film to be released, which was John Woo's Hard Target from 1993. After being hired to accompany a young woman on her quest to track down her missing father, a drifter named Chance meets his match in the form of a hardened criminal whose business allows wealthy men to hunt people for sport. Hard Target.
In the city of New Orleans, in a darker side of Dixie, away from the music and the lights, there's a new game in town.
You'll be provided with a guide, trackers, and the weapons of your choice.
I need to file a missing person report.
The competitors are deadly.
We pride ourselves in hunting only combat veterans, men who have the necessary skills to make our hunts more interesting.
And they always win.
You want to find your father? Get somebody who knows the city to show you around.
Now, the opposition is about to get one last chance.
What kind of a name is Chance?
My mama took when?
My friend Mr. Boudreaux, Silver Star, Marine Force Recon. He's obviously not someone we should underestimate. He is an annoying little insect. And I want him stepped on hard.
We need to get out of here now.
Ladies first.
What?
These men will chase after you. You mad at you for business or pleasure?
Both. Look at it this way. You're gonna get to meet Elvis. Give it a rest, pal.
Jean-Claude Van Damme is the Hard Target.
You miss me?
From internationally acclaimed action director John Woo.
How's it feel to be hunted? You tell me.
Hard Target.
Okay, so Hard Target, I think it's fair to assume that you've seen this before.
I've never seen Hard Target.
You were joking.
I know, would you Adam and Eve it?
I can't believe that.
And me being a big John Woo fan, me being a big JCVD fan, and I've never seen it. I looked at the front cover and thought, I've definitely seen it before.
Yeah.
Started watching it and went, fuck, I ain't seen this.
Okay, well, in that case, what did you make?
Well, I love John Woo. Hardball, The Killer, especially The Killer. I think The Killer is his best film.
We have been suggested to do Hardball versus The Killer, so that would be an episode at some point.
All day long. I'd love to do that on an episode.
Yeah.
And John Woo's kind of, he did his American. This is his first American movie.
Yeah.
Did Face Off, didn't he? Did Broken Arrow.
Yep.
Face Off was great. Saw Face Off at the cinema. I think we watched it at the cinema together.
We did actually, yeah.
Got a lot of time for Face Off. I haven't seen it for probably 20 years.
Me
but
neither.
I remember liking it.
Yep.
Hard Target. So, interesting film. Sam Raimi is exec producer.
I wondered why Sam Raimi popped up. He's the guy in the street.
I think
I'm not giving you any money. Yeah.
I thought that was Ted Raimi.
Oh, was it? It looked
He's
like Sam
actually
Raimi.
in the film. Is it Sam Raimi?
So, there's one. Let's see where
there's one of the Raimis is definitely in it as a bit part.
He thinks that someone is a homeless person. I ain't giving you no change, man. I'm certain it was Sam Raimi, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I read up a bit about the history of him being.
Yeah, they said that they put him as in case John Woo kind of toppled over on his first American movie.
Yes,
Sam Raimi could then step in and take the reins.
Yeah.
This I got a lot of enjoyment out of Hard Target. I'll be honest. It's daft as a brush, but fucking enjoyable.
Yeah.
Brilliant opening scene. The first hunt with a 3 crossbow finisher delivered with Woo panache and technical skill. I was just like, fucking wicked.
Yeah.
Have you seen it before?
I saw it very, very, years ago when it first came out on video. It didn't do too much for me. I remember it had a
when you first saw it.
Yeah, when I would have been 14. When did this come out?
93.
So I would have been 14. It didn't do too much for me. I remember it had a very lukewarm critical reception. I think it got 3 stars, a couple of 2 stars. It wasn't loved by critics, unsurprisingly. But word of mouth was so strong. I remember being at school and people were like, Hard Target. And I thought, I don't really understand what the fuss is about. I think it is I thought then, which is still what I think, though. It's a top-tier Jean-Claude Van Damme movie, but not much more than that.
It's a top-tier Jean-Claude Van Damme movie, about a mid-tier John Woo movie.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think you could probably say it's mid-tier. Yeah, that's probably fair enough. He has done some turkeys, actually. But John Woo's brand of action looks so good these days. You can map almost everything that happens. And most action directors are a little bit careless. When Woo stages something, like the first proper combat scene when he's accosted by that car, you see where everyone's coming from, where they go when they're beaten up, and they're there at the end of the scene. You're like, it's perfect. It's so satisfying to see something play out exactly as it might if it was happening in real life. He just knows where everything goes, and he doesn't. There's a lot of scenes like that. There's no continuity, and it's kind of a mess. And it doesn't matter that there's a body strewn over there. He wouldn't be there. Here, he's like militant about that. He's known, obviously, not so much now, but he always was known for his use of slow-mo. And it is
brilliant use, though. Brilliant use of slow-mo.
I thought some of it was very, very funny, because there's no scene too dramatically irrelevant for John Woo to shoot it like it's the end of the good, the bad, and the ugly. The fact that there's a character called Van Cleef is very telling. But it's a dumbass film, obviously it is, but you know, why would they go through this whole clandestine operation if they're kind of free, Lance Henriksen and his crew, to gun a guy down in the middle of the street on a packed Saturday night? Yeah. So there's silly things. You start questioning things like that. But
fucking entertaining.
It is entertaining.
And it's not drawn out either. It's really just peppered with great action sequences.
That's true.
Lance Henriksen is brilliant as Emile Fouchon. Is just superb as a nemesis to JCVD, and he's in uber glary form, intimidating, and he always delivers his line material like he's delivering Chaucer. And also, I mean, fucking hell, the commitment to the role. He even got set on fire. I mean, that was him. Yeah. For a couple of seconds when the jacket lights up.
Oh, of course, because you see in the shot, of course.
And he could easily be related to like Clarence Boddicker. I mean, they come from the same slime ball sticks family.
Yeah, for sure.
But he's fucking great in it. Also, Arnold Vosloo deserves kudos for pick. He's good as a right hand man. I mean, the thing where it kind of falls down for me. I mean, Jean-Claude Van Damme's character is just, I mean, it's a cardboard cutout. I mean, and the thing with John Woo Hong Kong action films is, you know, The Killer and Hard Boiled is so much time is taken to build up an emotional rapport with the viewer and the lead characters, and you don't have any kind of, it's just he's got a fucking wicked mullet.
and he's sort of just Christ-like, which is something that Van Damme. Have you heard about he was actually, there is a version of this that exists,
the 160 minutes, the 160-minute director's cut.
No, it was a Van Damme version. I think he
sat in on the edit.
Apparently he cut entire characters out and enhanced the number of his close-ups. I mean, there's a book. I found references to a book called The Cinematic Journey of Hong Woo by Christopher Hurd, and there's loads of pearls where apparently Jean-Claude Van Damme is just the most
narcissistic.
Yeah, I mean, that's not exactly news, I don't think, but especially because it's a similar thing happened with Cyborg, didn't it? Where he just kind of took control and said, "I want more of me in this." The Blu-ray, in that respect, the Blu-ray doesn't do it any favours, because when you watch it on Blu-ray, Jean-Claude Van Damme's stunt double is everywhere. So the fact that he's an egomaniac and he wasn't doing even some of the smallest stunts, you see that he wasn't doing a lot. You think makes it even more annoying that he's apparently he thinks he's a god.
I was just reading that Jean-Claude Van Damme, he was involved in the editing process, which apparently John Woo wasn't involved in the editing.
Yeah, it's a bit murky, the whole history of this film, because there was a period of time where the studio had no faith in John Woo, and they thought that it would be better if Van Damme was involved. But the finished version is not the Van Damme edit, because that's just apparently one long close-up of him.
In slow-mo. Maybe some doves circling.
There's some weird, strange... I mean, it's only two, really, but I remember someone calls Van Damme mate. Admittedly, it's about a job on a ship, I think he was talking. It's like, I think he calls him mate. I thought, that's weird. And then a few scenes later, Lance Henriksen says, "Send a couple of lads." I was like, okay. Weird, slightly strange. When this film I really enjoyed it and felt it was at its best, is when it just took those little... It just edged into a more and more ridiculous area. That's what I liked. The way Lance Henriksen eventually starts beating up, presumably, these people who are presumably millionaires, and he just starts taking them, and he just shuts up. And I was like, if I was paying a fortune, I'd walk away from that situation and get my fucking money back. And also, the decision was made. Only action movie films make decisions this fucking bizarre, and I love them for it. We need to cast a Frenchman. Who should we cast? let's cast the most American man of all time, Wilford Brimley. Apple Pie hasn't got shit on Wilford Brimley, and his bizarre French accent. I mean, a caricatured Frenchman. Again, like the Lance Henriksen beating up these people that are paid to be there, it pushes it into a zone of idiocy, which is where it belongs.
Yeah.
So the kind of sort of straight-laced beginning, I just wanted it to kick into a higher gear, sort of a bit more early than it did.
It's just when it is completely excessive and over the top is at its best. It's like really Jean-Claude Van Damme unloading a clip completely unnecessary into a guy.
Yeah.
Slow mo, fucking jump kick. You know, it's just like completely over the top and brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, all these action people they culminate in a brilliant classic warehouse finale, which looks like a Mardi Gras graveyard. It's classic Woo, slow motion, ton of balletic gunplay, and a generous smattering of white doves. It delivers money shot after money shot. I fucking love that.
Yeah, it's
love
terrific.
the ending.
I think, to be honest, when friends of mine, when I was much younger, were just frothing at the mouth talking about how great this film was, I think that's primarily what they were talking about. It is, I mean, that delivers that whole section. It's a very strange film because I think this is basically a very basic film that's elevated by its director.
Yeah.
Apparently John Woo originally wanted Kurt Russell, so I was starting to think, imagine if John Woo got Kurt Russell, but then there was some sort of creative differences and then he left the project. Without Van Damme and John Woo, but Kurt Russell, what even is this film? What would it be? Can you imagine if like someone like Kurt Russell was in it? What would it, I mean, without John Woo, what would it be? It would be the most D- film of all time.
You need to have the kicks along with the gunplay. You need to have the fighting with the guns.
You need. I mean, the only invention.
But
the only invention in this film is in the action. The action is very, very inventively done. It's a really basic chase film otherwise. So I don't know how this would. I mean, there'd be no point to make it. There's no surprises. There's no twists. No,
it's just very formulaic, straight down the line.
Imagine this film with Kurt Russell.
Movie. No, I couldn't. I mean, you'd have to have a script that would support Kurt Russell's, one-liners.
Yeah.
And this is not, the script is shonky.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. I thought Yancey Butler acted the fucking trousers off Van Damme. It's not saying a lot, but I thought she was really likeable, really committed.
She crops up in Kick-Ass 1 and 2, doesn't she?
Does she?
She's in Kick-Ass 1 and 2. The New Orleans setting is a nice touch.
Yeah, always nice when something's not set in Los Angeles.
The best fun fact I came across on the IMDb, IMDb folklore, is the crew had to construct a bulletproof shield to protect the camera, which was nicknamed the Woo Woo Choo Choo.
That's too good to be. If I came up with that, I wouldn't waste it on the IMDb trivia page. That's blatantly true. Have you seen Hard Target 2? I take it you haven't.
No, is that Scott Adkins, my boy?
Yeah,
Scott Adkinson.
I think so. Scott Adkins. Yeah.
He's fucking
I mean, I don't know how it is.
He's fucking brilliant, though. I mean, I've suggested that you should watch Ninja 2 on many occasions. Ninja 2 is brilliant. And he's also great in the Universal Soldier sequels that have come up in the last sort of 5-10 years.
Yeah. Okay, well, I mean, this is a fucking stupid film, but it's really John Woo when he's firing on all cylinders, and when the film's really full-blown idiotic in the sort of second half, I thought it was very, very enjoyable. But it's in the mid-level of his films for sure.
Yeah. No, I thought it's a great little B movie. It's a great little B movie action film. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. I just can't believe I hadn't seen it before.
Yeah, it's weird. Although it's kind of indistinct. That's totally a film that you could have seen and actually. I think I have actually seen this. Actually, have I? Yeah. Because so much of it is so unmemorable, apart from the action scenes. It's so unmemorable. Yeah. So it's a straight line chase film.
I mean, even seeing it a week later, I was just like, I couldn't really tell you what.
Yeah, exactly. Basically nothing. Some kick-ass action and that's it. But that's enough to recommend it just about. Okay, all right. Well, let's move on. The second film we're going to be looking at is from 1994, directed by Ernest Dickerson, and it is called Surviving the Game. A homeless man is employed to accompany a band of rich professionals as they head into the forests of the Pacific Northwest on a hunt. But what exactly will they be hunting? Surviving the game.
Why would you want to kill yourself? Maybe I like the idea of choosing when I die instead of having somebody else choose for me. If someone offered you a good job, would you be interested? What kind of job are you talking about? We need someone to help us with our hunts out in the wilderness.
Are you sure about this one?
Oh, I'm sure.
Has he got courage?
Gentlemen, I would like you to meet our new hunting guide, Mason.
Here's a toast to the hunters and a prayer for the hunted.
The hunt begins now.
Let the game begin!
Just let me get the dog for you.
Go!
We're not really gonna hunt him, are we?
He's nothing. He's less than nothing.
Come on, Mason!
I won't take any part in this.
I want you!
Think.
If you make it to civilization, you live. If you don't, Maybe God will have mercy.
I think he's gone back to the cabin.
None of them has ever done that before.
Mr. Mason!
What's that smell?
Everybody out of the cabin!
I like not being rare.
Try well done, bitch.
Jack Mason knows he's going to die someday.
Damn, I wish I'd never started smoking.
But today, he's not in the mood.
This is where it gets interesting.
Never underestimate
Come on, Mason!
a man who has nothing to lose. Rutger Hauer, Charles Dutton, Gary Busey, F. Murray Abraham, William McNamara, and Ice-T. Surviving the Game. Directed by Ernest Dickerson.
Okay, Surviving the Game. You had not seen Hard Target. I assume you hadn't seen this either.
This is a double header of.
Okay.
Not the first time.
Okay.
For both.
Yeah. All right.
Have you seen Surviving the Game?
I saw Surviving the Game when it came out.
Okay.
It was at that annoying age. I believe there's an age about 14, 15. I won't speak for everybody, but myself, if there was two vaguely similar things, I'd always go, oh, actually, I like the less popular one. It's actually way better, actually, because I rented it, and I think I tried to convince myself that it was better than Hard Target. I won't say whether I feel that way today, but I mean, what did you think then first time out?
Well, I sure as hell. Well, let's start from the off, shall we? So it uses the same plot.
Yep.
The uber rich using the less fortunate as hunting fodder. We're introduced to Mason, played by rapper Ice-T.
Real name Tracy Marrow?
Tracy Marrow, yeah. And who's his wife? His wife's got serious hindquarters.
I haven't seen this.
Google, if you listen to the show, Google Ice-T's wife's glutes. See what you get. Yeah, I mean, Mason, we're introduced to Mason, homeless dude who fucking sure as hell isn't having a good day. He hasn't found anything in the trash cans worth eating. His dog got hit by a van, and his best pal just kicked the bucket. So he's off to a bad start. Yeah, Ice-T he's not great. He's not. I don't think he's a great. He's not a great screen presence.
I think he's all right. I mean, I think he has a little bit of charisma, and that goes a long way in films like this. He's never. I mean,
charisma's pushing it.
I think a little bit. He's got. Yeah, I find him kind of like. He's always this. I mean, but this looked like this exactly the same character as the cop he played in New Jack City. I mean, he's incapable of playing.
Oh, he's better in New Jack City.
I think he has more to work with. This is a bit more of a sort of a shell of a character, but I thought he was totally fine. I didn't have a problem with him.
Okay. I just felt some of the lines he just felt very much like he was reading off on auto cue. I didn't really buy his toughness or his faux rage. I didn't really get. Yeah, I didn't really feel that.
I know, I didn't have a problem with that.
I thought the rest of the cast, it's kind of a mix of good and bad.
You think?
Yeah, I mean, Gary Busey is a constant highlight. I mean, whether he's jabbing at a disembodied pig's head on the dinner table, or he's talking about killing his boyhood dog with his bare hands to become a man story, which is probably the best moment in the film for me. Yeah, he's fucking great. Charles S. Dutton is probably the most consistent performance, I think.
Yeah.
I thought he did a lot of cunning and sort of malice and luring Mason into this blue-blooded hobo hunting madmen ring. Was a good performance. And Rutger Hauer, third appearance on the show, I think, and it's the third film that we've talked about with Rutger Hauer as Burns, and he's really good. Perfectly kind of creepy, sort of predatory leading of the hunting pack. John C. McGinley, I think he was one of the doctors in Scrubs.
Yeah.
And F. Murray Abraham. I mean, they're trying their best to outdo themselves in the who's the hammiest actor stakes.
I think they're all on. I think this is a masterpiece of casting. I think that cast, the central team, McGinley, Busey, Hauer, Dutton, F. Murray Abraham, I think they're all on the same keel. I mean, you could argue that F. Murray Abraham's on a different level because he's an Oscar winner, and he doesn't actually do schlock like this very often. But they're all of those guys are kind of, it's the same deal as with movie stars. You're buying the whole package, so you don't hire Gary Busey to do anything other than be Gary Busey. I think it's the same with most of those guys. And seeing them pop off each other, I thought was absolutely fantastic. I would watch a whole film of them that was just set in that house when they were sat around the dinner table, because it's not a million miles away from watching the best actors working on a really, really high-end, meaty drama, because they all raise their game. This is absolute pulp, but everyone's going for it. Busey is a sadist, sociopath. Charles Dutton is sort of kind of obsessed with this whole thing as being this perfect sport. F. Murray Abraham is desperate to prove how macho he is. Rutger Hauer's like this kind of like warped dictator who believes he's an artist and he's doing some kind of good. At first, John C. McGinley gets short shrift because he's just angry. He's just fucking furious.
But he's very watchable.
He is, and later on, he gets his moment where you're revealed a bit more about him.
He has the kind of the clash of conscience, doesn't he?
That's right, later on, yeah. But it's interesting. One thing that's interesting is that Hard Target couldn't give a fuck about the people that are paying to kill people, whereas this film is only really interested in them. And this is a lot more realistic, because these are kind of like, if such a thing were to exist, it would be a kind of team of damaged friends and former colleagues who are all kind of warped by similar experiences. So I thought that was actually, the fact that they went into all of that a little bit was better than just these faceless billionaires who turn up and just sort of stand there looking moody with guns, hoping that they get to shoot somebody. But then again, I suppose it's fitting for it, because that was a fucking much more traditional action film. This is different. But I thought, casting wise, I thought it was terrific, and those early scenes of them just at their cabin. Highly enjoyable watching those guys pop off each other.
What did you think once they left the cabin and started hunting?
There's a lot of good things about this film, and the action's not really one of them. I mean, Ernest Dickerson's work as a director is kind of great, because I didn't even think to make some kind of assessment on it. He just lets the actors act. He lets the action play out with no showboating, no stylistics. But
it's all very convenient, though, isn't it? I mean, how do they always manage to come across Ice-T when they've got no tracking devices, no hunting dogs? It's just, we've cropped up and there he is. This huge expanse, and they just managed to find him every 20 minutes.
Yeah, you're probably right. One thing I really liked, the one thing I think probably the thing I most liked about this film was that the script never turned Ice-T into Rambo.
No.
So on 2 occasions in the film, he leads them off the beaten track and then sort of flanks them and comes round behind them. That happens twice. And then there's a bit where he waits for them to make a perilous crossing, and then he just turns up and starts throwing rocks at them. Yeah. This means that this is not the most exhilarating action film, but those are conceivably things that a person in that situation might do to outwit them. So I thought, it doesn't sell the main character short, and he improvises, does best he can. It's never silly. But, as I said, this means that it's not the most exciting action movie to watch, especially in comparison to Hard Target.
No, it's definitely lacking in the action stakes.
Yeah.
We're talking about performances. The most annoying character in the whole film is Abraham Murray's son. William McNamara. He just screams like a pussy throughout that entire film.
That's the character, though, isn't it? I wouldn't say it's a bad performance. I think he's supposed to be fucking irritating. He's like a spoiled rich boy.
Pulls that off.
Yeah, he does. The action, it's a shame about the action. I mean, it's actually straight bad in a couple of situations. The 2 proper hand-to-hand combat scenes, Dickerson or his cinematographer used darkness to mask
it.
There's no decent choreography. I mean, the fight in the alleyway at the end, it's just like, what am I looking at? It's just a fucking dark blur.
Yeah.
Better to not have any action in it at all. Have, Indiana Jones style, just fucking shoot the guy. There's no reason for it. So the action's not good, but also, it starts quite slowly not in a great way. I don't know. I was kind of thinking they should really be moving. Thinking back,
the bookends of this are really
the beginning.
It's not a great beginning. It's not a great ending. It's all tagged on the ending as well.
Yeah. That seems like something that they put on after a test screening.
Yeah, and to fluff up the running time as well. So I think this barely runs at like just over 90 minutes.
I just have a like. I
think that this is looking at it definitely through
rose tinted glasses.
Classic rose tinted glasses.
I suppose. Did you acknowledge how unbelievably weird the soundtrack was? At the beginning, when there's homeless people sat around a campfire, it sounds like the soundtrack to a kid's fantasy musical or something. It's by Stuart Copeland,
right?
And I was like, "What is he doing? It's like a kid's film." It's like his music's a lot more traditional as the film goes on. But also, I mean, there were a couple of moments when I felt like the film's one step ahead of me. When Charles Dutton gets annoyed that Ice-T doesn't accept free food. Why do you want a free lunch? I thought, why? And it's before you realise that his job is to scope out people who would be susceptible to this situation. I was like, it's nice when you kind of get wrong-footed and you think late writing is, and it turns out it's actually quite a nifty thing. Maybe I am being a bit too forgiving for this one, but I didn't think it was terrible by any means. I think those guys,
the strongest, with that the pack of hunters, that is when it's at its best. That dinner sequence is when it's at its best.
Yeah,
without a doubt. The actual hunting itself is not, and there's a huge lack of action. Yeah. But the whole cabin sequence And the whole, when he goes into that room with all the glass jars, and there's a glass jar that's going to be, he's going to be the next head. That's fucking great.
Yeah.
That's when it's at its best, when it's over the top. And Rutger Hauer, when we first introduced to Rutger Hauer, and he's kind of interviewing Mason while clipping his nails with a parrot on his fucking show.
It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if Rutger Hauer said, "I'm bringing a parrot." And they really do pop off each other.
But I think there's also some definite ad-libbing going on. I think Gary Busey, they just like roll the camera and go, Gary, what do you want to talk about?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, so there's a lot. I'd say that it's for somebody who likes. I don't know how best to put it. This is a charming film, albeit one that doesn't really work. And I did think it was a far more interesting proposition to focus on the hunters and try and sort of flesh them out a little bit. The downside is that it is an action film
lacking in action
that doesn't have enough action in it. And although I did respect the way that it was a guy desperately trying to improvise in the only ways he could figure out, but yeah, as I've said about 3 times, that doesn't equal excitement.
I mean, he could have surely got hold of some explosives or some guns. Or something.
Then we're turning it into Hard Target. That's the difficult. It's a different film. Maybe it was. I don't know if everyone's on the same page. It's difficult. It's made like an action film, but not really. If it was, imagine if an art house director did this. I could conceivably imagine this as an art house film. Seriously, I mean, if you can think about it, sort of shot in a very solemn way.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm making excuses for it. I don't know. Anyway,
I think it'll be really forgiving.
Okay, I enjoyed watching this film. I thought it was interesting. I think it's charming. But where are we? I mean, if we're picking a winner,
Hard Target, slow mo, roundhouse kicks, fucking surviving the game into the dirt.
Yeah, I think there's a reason Surviving the Game, as far as I'm aware, is on Blu-ray. It was hard. It was hard to get hold of. We had any correspondence on this?
Yes. Trebor Yarif. Hard Target and Surviving the Game are both equally brilliant in their own way. F. Murray Abraham is a revelation in Surviving the Game. I'm coming for you, Mason, and Gary Busey is scene-stealingly superb. Would agree with that.
Yeah.
Wiley Times. I forgot how awesome the cast is in Surviving the Game. Benjamin Craig. Hard Target. Arguably John Woo's best/only good American movie. It uses almost all of his Hong Kong movie tropes to perfection. Surviving the Game, the Prince Henry Stout monologue shows you exactly why Gary Busey had a career. It's shockingly good.
I don't disagree with that.
Chris Blizzard. Surviving the Game is always a joy to watch. Solid casting, goes great with a double featurette with Judgment Night. I never liked Judgment Night.
Didn't you?
Is that the one with the Everlast from House of Pain?
No, Dennis Leary is like he's like a gang leader, the most unlikely gang leader of all time. And Emilio Estevez and Cuba Gooding Jr. on a bus, and it crashes in like a shit neighbourhood.
Everlast from House of Pain.
I don't think so. Oh, maybe. I mean, maybe I can't remember. It's been a long time. I remember that was a really good shit film.
Okay. Ian Loader. I must have seen Hard Target dozens of times now. It used to be a staple for me and my brother years ago, with some great one-liners and quotes to easily slip into conversation, especially in Voslow's Clippy Seth African. Exit. Need to see Surviving the Game again. Think I only saw that once a long time ago, so think I'm mixing it up with others.
That's easily done.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, I'm pretty much in agreement. I think Hard Target is it's a much better film.
Yeah, I'd watch Hard Target again. I mean, no problems. I'd watch Surviving the Game again.
I'd probably watch Surviving the Game again, but that's because when I was a kid, I was trying to tell the world, actually, this is the better film.
This is the more obscure.
Yeah. I'll come round to mine and you can watch my VHS. I think I bought it on VHS. I might be wrong. I can't remember. Anyway, I'm an idiot. But Hard Target is definitely 100% the winner. Thank you very much for listening. We will be back in a couple of weeks. If you have any suggestions for future episodes, just chuck them at us on social media. If you've seen either of these films and you think we got them wrong, give us a shout. But we'll be back in 2 weeks. Take it easy.
Oh, yes.
Goodbye.